If you're a parent or share a fridge with someone, Instacart is about to make grocery shopping so much easier. Because with family carts, you can share a cart with your partner and each add the items you want. Since between the two of you, odds are you'll both remember everything you need. And this way, you'll never have to eat milkless cereal again. So minimize the stress of the weekly shop with family carts. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 orders. Service fees apply for 3 orders in 14 days. Excludes restaurants.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
If you wear glasses, you know how hard it is to find the perfect pair. But step into a Warby Parker store, and you'll see it doesn't have to be. Not only will you find a great selection of frames, you'll also meet helpful advisors and friendly optometrists. Yep, many Warby Parker locations also offer eye exams. So the next time you need glasses, sunglasses, contact lenses, or a new prescription, you know where to look. To find a Warby Parker store near you or to book an eye exam, head over to warbyparker.com/retail.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay. And you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, March 26, 2025. We tell you what you need to know, follow up on the context of those stories, and help each other understand.
Today, Victoria Song tells us about watching international TV and then something from you.
I'm Jenn Cutter.
I'm Huyen Dow.
Let's start with what you need to know with the big story. Amazon announced a new AI feature Wednesday called Interest, adding the ability to use personalized shopping prompts, quote, in everyday language. This can include price limits and preferences and obviously interests to send the AI off to do the searching work for you. The new feature will continually scan Amazon to notify you of any new products or restocks or even deals related to your interests. Currently, Interest is only available to a small number of US-based customers within the US-based iOS and Android apps, but will roll out across the US in the coming months. Interest joins the more widely available Amazon AI tools, like the review summaries, the AI-generated product information, and the AI shopping assistant Rufus. So, when have you used any of these AI tools or caught them in the wild?
I have actually. So I'm a bit of a research nerd when it comes to anything that I'm buying, kind of like exhaustively so, to my husband's regret. So I have used the AI review summaries a lot on Amazon. Like, I think that's just one thing that can be hard because I think all of us who are very diligent shoppers like to know what other shoppers have to do. So the AI summaries, I actually do feel have been extremely useful just to kind of give you like a temperature and give you like the broad swath of things. So it kind of saves you time. So I actually would be I'm interested in interests, to be perfectly frank. So what about you, Jenn?
Being in Canada and also being the weirdo who doesn't use the apps, I have seen the AI review summaries. And unfortunately, I've seen the product information, which has been incorrect. Now, I do know that is also the problem of the seller, not double checking some stuff. But yeah, I needed a particular kind of light in a particular kind of style. And the AI summary was wrong. But thankfully, reviews had pointed out the correct thing. Like, my favorite thing, like, because I'm in Canada, I get bilingual reviews. And often if there's no reviews in Canada, it will pull from other countries, which is kind of nice. And the AI summaries do hopefully save me from having to translate a lot of stuff. And I don't know which would be more accurate at this point, the AI summary translation or if I hit like an actual translation app.
Oh, wow. I never really thought about it from that perspective as well. I mean, obviously being American inserts kind of stereotype about Americans and non-English languages, but that makes a lot of sense too, kind of being able to collate that information for you. I like that a lot. Like, I think that's one of those unexpected benefits of AI. And I think interest is actually super interesting. I can't want to say interest is interesting. Interest is super
Hey, it's
useful.
what they're going for.
Exactly. No, good. It was a good name. But I think a lot of times, especially with shopping, there's a little bit of indirectness, or I want to say like a little bit of waviness, or when you're kind of like window shopping, like if window shopping is something we ever do these days, like the idea of walking down, a street and things that you weren't exactly expecting or not matching your exact like idea in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little bit of like impreciseness or discovery that happens that is really hard with direct searches. I mean, to some extent, you do get often even in Amazon, like some adjacent results, but I like the idea of interest being something a little more broader than that, where the intention is to, use that everyday language, which can be like a little more imprecise, but that maybe that helps you in that window shopping, especially if you're looking for something you're not sure the exact model, brand, or something that you want. I like that little bit of not impreciseness, but maybe like wiggle room for the engine to serve you something that maybe you didn't expect, but you really wanted. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm very curious to find out the merchant point of view on this. Is this going to be something you're going to have to pay for to be pushed to, say, more people?
Oh no, SEO within Amazon.
I know. I always sound like such an AI doomer, but like these are the things I worry about. It's like, okay, is this an organic thing or is this a paid thing? And will they differentiate? Hopefully.
It just goes to show you that the more we advance in any technology, the more we stay the same, like net neutrality, SEO, all these kind of things, even in like the microcosm of just shopping on Amazon, we can recreate these things for better or worse.
Yeah, because like Google has their vision match tool that started on mobile in like early March, where you can just describe a piece of clothing. And I was like, I would have loved to have been able to test that because I do not have access to it. And it's just like, okay, if I describe something impossible, is it going to tell me it exists? Or is it actually going to try to find something reasonable? But let's be honest, it's still early days for a lot of this stuff. These things are just launching. Mm-hmm. But I am looking forward to people better at shopping than me to test this all out and report back.
Same. I think if anything, we joke about AI, but I mean, this could save time and find you something delightful that I guess you weren't expecting. So yeah, I'm all for it too. At least we'll see how it shakes out. Well, DTNS is made possible by you, the listener. Thanks to Aaron Sturr, Ken Hayes, Philip Shane, and welcome new patron, Lee.
Yay! Great to have you. So,
everyone's talking about AI these days, right? It's changing how we work, how we learn, and how we interact with the world at a tremendous pace. It's a gold rush at the frontier, but if we're not careful, we might end up in a heap of trouble. Red Hat's podcast this season on Compiler is diving deep into how AI is reshaping the world we live in. From the ethics of automation to the code behind machine learning, it's breaking down the requirements, capabilities, and implications of using AI. Check out the new season of Compiler, an original podcast from Red Hat. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay, and you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. You can find anything there. It's unreal. Wipers, headlights, even cold air intakes. It's all there. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. Look, DIY fixes can be major. Doesn't matter if it's just maintenance or a major mod. You got it, especially when things are guaranteed to fit. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
This is Paige DeSorbo from Giggly Squad. This episode is sponsored by Boost Mobile, the newest 5G network in the country, with compelling deals for new lines. Boost Mobile makes it easy to switch today. Boost Mobile is no longer that prepaid wireless company you remember. They've invested billions into building their own 5G towers across America. With Boost Mobile's networks, customers enjoy the speed and service they'd expect from the big three. Plus, groundbreaking benefits you'd only get from a true challenger of the industry. Boost Mobile will let you try the network risk-free for 30 days. So visit your nearest Boost Mobile store or find us online at boostmobile.com today.
If you wear glasses, you know how hard it is to find the perfect pair. But step into a Warby Parker store, and you'll see it doesn't have to be. Not only will you find a great selection of frames, you'll also meet helpful advisors and friendly optometrists. Yep, many Warby Parker locations also offer eye exams. So the next time you need glasses, sunglasses, contact lenses, or a new prescription, you know where to look. To find a Warby Parker store near you or to book an eye exam, head over to warbyparker.com/retail.
From ADT comes Trusted Neighbor, the new standard in home access. Through the ADT Plus app, easily grant and automate event-based or scheduled access for neighbors, friends, and helpers. Notify trusted individuals of events like alarms or packages, and set access windows for planned guests or even the dog walker without interrupting your day. Visit ADT.com. When every second counts, count on ADT. Requires ADT Complete Pro monitoring plan and compatible devices. Copyright 2025 ADT LLC. All rights reserved.
There's more we need to know today. Let's get to the briefs.
Well, Bloomberg reports Microsoft walked away from more data center projects in the U.S. and Europe, according to analysts at TD Cowen. The analysts previously highlighted leases that Microsoft abandoned in the U.S. back in February related to the decision to pass on some future business with OpenAI. Also, earlier this year, Microsoft altered the previous agreements with OpenAI, now permitting OpenAI to obtain cloud services from other companies.
Lots of, I want to say flexibility or change in this space every day, every week. There's a big switch of like, where is the future going? Do we need more? Do we need less? Are we scaling back? Are we scaling up? Who's in charge of what?
We are not at a loss for AI, the AI hokey pokey, whether it's features, data centers, bit partnerships. It is always a dance around here with AI for sure.
I am going to steal AI hokey pokey. That's perfect. The Indonesian government announced it is lifting the ban on sales of the iPhone 16 in the country, which was implemented last year. The phones will be available beginning April 11th. The ban was initially imposed due to a lack of Apple investments in the country and failing to meet composition requirements for parts to be locally made. Reuters reports Apple's new local investments total more than $300 million.
Well, I mean, I guess that's good on Indonesia for promoting, local investments, but wow. Well, the Vietnamese government issued a statement saying that Vietnam will allow Starlink to provide satellite internet services in the country for a trial period of 5 years, ending on January 1st, 2031, and for a maximum of 600,000 subscribers. Additionally, there will be no restrictions on foreign ownership of the service. So Starlink would be able to provide services either directly to customers or work with local businesses. So Vietnam's approval stands in contrast to Starlink's talks with Italy, which earlier this week were stalled, as explained by Italian Defense Minister Guido Crosetto in a Saturday interview. There has been serious debate among Italian lawmakers over whether to choose Starlink over a European rival, like, say, the French firm Eutelsat for encrypted satellite communications. The arguments against Starlink have centered around relying on non-European technology and companies for this kind of critical infrastructure, as well as things like last month's report from the U.S. concerning cutting off Ukraine from Starlink. So kind of more of the political side of the debate.
Yeah, my province, Ontario, in Canada, of course, is also having the debate. We had a contract, and now we currently don't. So we'll see, the fallout from this, definitely with, the lawsuits and the back and forth will take many years to resolve.
Yeah, I did want to note that also, a lot of analysts are saying that the Vietnamese approval for it has a lot to do with the current tariff negotiations that they're rather trying to avoid tariffs from the U.S., as well as just generally strengthening ties to the U.S. So take that as you will.
Broadcom's VMware is suing AG Siemens over, quote, thousands of copied and deployed versions of VMware products without a license. The complaint notes VMware had a master software license and service agreement with Siemens since November 2012, but was contacted in September 2024 to provide support for products that VMware did not have a record of purchase for. Siemens reportedly resisted attempts to audit the firm for license compliance. The complaint was filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Delaware on March 21st and seeks a jury trial, damages, and, quote, any profits attributable to infringing activities.
OpenAI has released an updated version of GPT-4o that can generate more realistic and perhaps more useful images. The new image generation model, which is replacing DALL-E 3, seems to be aimed at making AI tools more viable for advertising, graphic design, and other business needs, with a focus on more lifelike images and paragraphs of comprehensible text. Yes, this is this is a thing that we really need right now for sure. The model can even generate images with transparent backgrounds, which could help in the creation of logos and other branding. Now, the improvement to the model is attributed to a process utilizing around 100 human trainers who labeled AI-generated images for the typical flaws, things like typos and we'll call them unusual faces or hands, maybe too many fingers, things like that. These labeled images were then used as training data for the new model in a process referred to as reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. This process actually helped further refine models after their initial training. The new model was also specifically trained to follow human directions more closely to improve accuracy. And this new image generation model is currently available to ChatGPT Free, Plus, Team, and Pro users.
Well, amazingly, just before the show, Amos sent me a test model of a hockey player in a room, which did, in fact, have the correct number of fingers. But there was a picture in the background of another hockey player that I will politely say was malformed. If you looked at it quickly, you couldn't tell whether the hockey player was facing forwards or backwards, because the back of the jersey had twisted around to the front and ate one of the arms, and the stick was phasing through dimensions and appearing on each side of the blue line. But hey, it knew what a blue line was. So the human trainers have a lot of work to do.
Maybe we need to update the model for background images as well. It feels like it kind of saw the front, was like, all right, we're good. And then it kind of just said, all right, whatever happens in the back, maybe we just need a more front to back checking. But all right, well, at least the main image, we'll call it, was accurate.
Yeah. I give them credit for the foreground.
Excellent.
YouTube is changing how views are counted with shorts, bringing the metrics more in line with how Instagram Reels and TikTok work. Previously, YouTube Shorts only counted a view after the content was viewed for a target number of seconds. Now the view count will increase every time a short starts to play or replay. The change goes into effect March 31st, when everyone will be able to clearly see if their favorite short-form content is crushing it more on one platform versus another.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a software developer, and of all the times that I've been asked to log events, this kind of thing would drive me crazy. It makes sense, right? Because in order to more appropriately or more accurately compare themselves to other services like Reels and TikTok, it makes sense for them to change. Although it just feels like it just feels like views should be intentional playing of a video and active interest, but that's not how we're counting things these days. So I don't know. It always kind of bugs me, this kind of, I wouldn't say lowering of the bar, but it feels like an easier count than previous. But I don't know. Sometimes maybe competition makes us all kind of count things a little bit more loosely than others. I don't know. While not yet official, Claude's own agentic research AI called Compass has been spotted in the wild. So within Claude's web interface, Compass can be found in the Message Composer dropdown. The system prompts for Claude and this new feature Compass include, quote, find credible sources for my research and provide evidence-based insights for a topic, pointing to Compass providing functionality that's very much like ChatGPT's deep research. Claude's AI agent will respond to prompts by searching the web, scraping data, and creating a document with the accumulated data.
Geography game GeoGuessr is coming to Steam, with early access beginning in April. The early access version will include a competitive solo mode and casual team duels, but the price has yet to be revealed. GeoGuessr remains available in the original 12-year-old web version and apps with the standard 3 free daily guesses, but playing more requires a subscription starting at $2.50 a month. As a bonus note, if you get real good at guessing geography, the last GeoGuessr World Championships had a $100,000 prize pool.
Jen, have you ever played GeoGuessr?
I am terrible at it.
I am also equally terrible at it. But if any of you have ever watched some streamers play, there are some people that are ridiculously good at GeoGuessr.
It's scary. You think they were cheating. Like, how do you, like, you see them work it out and I still don't quite understand.
Yeah, especially even from like the middle of some terrain where there's not a lot of like, to my eyes, identifying landmarks or anything, but they're like, they could just tell from like the color of the sand or like the certain shape of the topography that, oh, I'm somewhere in this country. The only time I actually succeeded at a GeoGuessr was the third time I played. I sat down with some friends. The first two, I think, was somewhere in France, which I sort of eventually guessed because I think I managed to see something. I think I saw some French or something that looked kind of definitively French, like finally after like several guesses. The third place, I got dropped down. I paused. I looked at the trees and I'm like, so by the way, I live in Colorado, but I'm from Maryland. So this third place I get dropped down. I just look at the trees and I'm like, I'm home. Like I just had this like visceral sensation that I was in Maryland and there was nothing. It was literally just trees on the side of the highway. I start turning around and I'm like, I'm home. And it was like probably the only time that I've ever actually correctly guessed GeoGuessr within like some reasonable amount is because it actually dropped me about like 10 miles from my house.
Yeah.
So
well, still, you figured it out from the context clues as opposed to I've shown half of a broken, what I think was a light post. And I'm like, yeah, I got nothing. That's
just luck. That's just luck. I mean, that was just luck, but I don't know. It's amazing how good some people really are. Well, those are the essentials for today. Let's dive a little deeper in the ongoing stories and follow up.
There are more streaming TV options than ever, and a whole new world of shows is available from all over the planet. Tom sat down to compare notes with Victoria Song from The Verge about how they stream K-dramas and more.
I was very pleased that you were willing to take some time to chat with me about K-dramas, and it seems like you were even more excited than I am.
Oh, yeah. So my spouse is not the biggest K-drama fan. Like, he'll watch some with me, but only if they're really dark. So for all my other K-dramas, like I don't have very many people to talk to about it. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know about you. For us, probably the majority of them used to come from Viki. It's a Rakuten streaming service, but these days it seems like more are showing up at other places: Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime. Where do you end up watching them the most?
So I'm weird. I grew up with watching K-dramas, so I kind of flit back and forth between watching what's really popular, and if it's what's really popular, there's a really great chance that it's just going to be on Netflix these days, which is wild, absolutely insane. And then, or like Hulu. Sometimes, like you said, Disney Plus, really shocking, actually, the amount that you can find on traditional streaming platforms. But if I want to watch a not historical, because that is a genre, but like something that I watched when I was a kid, and I want to go back to that, I generally go to Viki. And then there's also just the fact that I also enjoy watching Korean variety shows. And sometimes... No, like generally all the time, that's not going to be on the traditional platforms. So for those, I'll go watch some clips on YouTube every once in a while, or I'll also go to Viki. Or I might have to go to a shadier site. I think Drama Cool is the one that I use most frequently to find my variety shows, like trying to watch one called Kong Kong Pat Pat. And it is starring one of my favorite K-pop idols. And I can't find that anywhere. So I got to go to the really shady site where the ads are dubious and, you're clicking multiple links and you're like,
part 1, part 2, part 3, that kind of thing. Who's the idol, if you don't mind my asking?
So he is a singer from this band called EXO, which came up at around the same time as BTS. They're way more popular in Asia than they are in the US. And his stage name is D.O. and his actual name is Do Kyung-soo. And I actually found him, not through the boy band, but through a drama called 100 Days My Prince. And it is on Netflix, and he's fantastic in that one. So I was like, oh, who is this guy? Oh, he can sing. Okay, I'm just gonna fall down into this EXO rabbit hole. And he's a solo artist too, so it's just like, that's the thing about K-dramas. So many of them are actually singers too, so you get 3 for the price of 1 in terms of your entertainment.
Yeah. He's the one that did the collab on Small Girl recently, I think.
Yes,
him?
he is.
Yes.
That's him. That's him.
Okay.
He's my favorite singer. So
yeah, he's good. And that is a thing about K-dramas is you find so much more crossover. IU is probably one of the more famous at that, with like Hotel Del Luna and My Mister. But then there's also recently Jisoo from Blackpink is in suddenly in a bunch of things. Are you watching Newtopia on Netflix?
I am not. I literally just finished season 2 of Squid Game because it took me a while. And that was one that the husband would watch with me. So I was like,
dark.
yes, because it's dark. So that one, Squid Game is really funny to me because it has all of these major A-listers that I watched when I was a kid with my parents, like Lee Jung-jae and Lee Byung-hun. And Gong Yoo. People in America are like, oh yeah, Gong Yoo, the hot guy, with the Dakchi from Squid Game. I was like, you don't understand. You don't understand. I know Gong Yoo from First Shop of the Coffee Prince back in 2007. And also, what was another one? Goblin.
Yeah.
Goblin is the big one that anyone in K-drama land knows. I was just like, God, Goblin with what's his name, Lee Dong-wook, and then walking down the little hallway with the music going. Goblin. It's on Viki. That's where you
and that's one that's weird because we all call it Goblin, but half the time it'll come up as Guardian, the Great God. So if you are starting to explore K-dramas, get ready for that because there's sometimes 2 and occasionally 3 different names that they go under.
Yeah, it's because the name in Korean is Dokkaebi, and Dokkaebi is a mythical Korean creature that translate most directly into English as goblin, but it's not like a goblin like we know it
it's
in Western mythology.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing at all. So it's it's just one of those things that's really hard to translate. But he's so good in that one. So
And there's also Kokowa, which occasionally we use for music shows. Even though they're on Viki, sometimes they don't show up on Viki on time, or Viki cuts them off or something like that. Because Kokowa feeds a lot of stuff into Viki. Viki has a partnership with them. Do you ever end up using that?
I've used it a couple of times, but I just find the selection for at least the stuff I'm trying to watch is not that
more
great.
Limited.
Yeah. And, Viki, you can also watch, I believe you can also watch other non-K-drama stuff like J-dramas and C-dramas. And, a while back, I just got super nostalgic for all 40,000 versions of Hana Yori Dango or Boys Over Flowers, because every country in Asia has their own version of it. So I just got so nostalgic to see the original Taiwanese version, which was called Meteor Garden, and then the Japanese version, which is Hana Yori Dango, and then there's the Korean version, which is Boys Over Flowers, and then there was a rebooted version, and I was like, oh my god,
there's a Filipino version, I think.
There's a Filipino version. There's everybody's got their own take on that particular drama, which is it's actually really fun. And then it was sad, but the original actress from Meteor Garden who played the main character, she died recently. So I was like, oh no, I want to. So I do a lot of rewatching of stuff from the old days, and then also watching newer stuff. I do a lot of K-drama watching. There's just so much of it.
Meteor Garden was how we got into watching Asian dramas in general.
Oh, wow.
It was Eileen, my wife, was watching that, and that's how we ended up using Viki. And then I watched My Love from the Star, and then it was Hotel Del Luna, and then off to the races, and we started watching everything. But it's been really fun to explore all these different storylines and things that you don't get otherwise.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it's sort of like British TV in that they're mostly miniseries. They're very rarely are you going to get a second season. So I kind of enjoy that in the sense that you don't get bogged down.
Yeah, you get a complete story.
You get a complete story. Every once in a while you'll get a second season, but even then it's not guaranteed to be the same cast. I loved Strong Girl the Bongsoon, and I didn't watch the second season because I was like, oh, you're not having my people's back.
It
but
was
then
more
I
like a
found out,
spin-off than a second season. Yeah.
It was like a spin-off. And then I found out they were in it for one scene. So I went to YouTube. I'm like, I'm going to watch
you
this
just watch that one scene.
But yeah, no, that was a show that I was like so shocked it was on Netflix when it came out. I was like, oh, what do you mean I don't have to watch the grainiest thing on YouTube in 4,000 different parts, like how I used to watch it when I was a kid and like the internet was starting up. So it's come such a long way and so accessible now. Like more people than ever in my life are into K-dramas, and they'll be like, have you seen Crash Landing Into You? And I'm like, Of course. I've seen Crash Landing Into You. But that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is interesting. And I would also recommend to people, like, look up things on YouTube. Sometimes you'll get whole shows, like SBS and KBS will often just put whole shows up. But even if not, they'll put up clips and things, that can, give you a sample, so you can try it out. Victoria, thank you so much, for chat. This was really fun.
Yeah, it was super. I love nerding out over K-dramas. Come talk to me online about them.
Fantastic. Me too. If folks want to follow you, where should they go?
I am at VicMSong on every social platform. So that's X, Blue Sky, Mastodon, I'm sure Instagram, all of them. I'm just VicMSong.
Fantastic. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Data sets shape the world we live in, and there's no better way to understand how than by listening to Behind the Data, hosted by data scientist Andrea Jones-Roy. The show examines what data sets say about what's happening in our world, politics, health, and why. Check it out at behindthedatashow.com.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay, and you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. You can find anything there. It's unreal. Wipers, headlights, even cold air intakes. It's all there. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. Look, DIY fixes can be major. Doesn't matter if it's just maintenance or a major mod. You got it, especially when things are guaranteed to fit. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
This is a PSA, or public sock announcement. Experts have declared Bombas socks as the best way to warm up chilly feet. These pairs are super cushy, soft, and designed for maximum coziness. Plus, for every pair purchased, another pair will be donated, so someone in need of essential clothing can stay warm this winter. Go to bombas.com/ACAST and use code ACAST for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/ACAST and use code ACAST at checkout.
We end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. Today, Brian McGilligan is helping us understand.
Brian wrote the following in a Patreon comment to yesterday's briefing. Jason read out yesterday, quote, Signal is not, however, an authorized platform for government communications in the United States. Brian continues, however, according to testimony from Director of the CIA John Ratcliffe, not only is this not true, upon coming into office, he was handed a phone by his security staff with Signal installed on it and was permitted to use it, among other officials, for discussions. The caveat is that any decisions made through the discussions via Signal had to be communicated/documented through other official channels. It seems that last year, according to Reuters, the government encouraged employees to move to Signal or even iMessage over open and unencrypted text messages.
So Tom provided some clarification. There's a lot of high feelings about the story and a lot of room for misinterpretation because of the complicated nature of government communications. Jason wasn't wrong to say that Signal wasn't authorized for communication in this case, but the way he phrased it left it open to be interpreted the wrong way. A better, more precise way would say the DoD prohibits use of Signal and most other messaging platforms for the transmission of non-public information. The details are spelled out in this memo, and it's a very long link that I'm not going to read out loud, I'm guessing. But yeah, this is like the DoD did does have a memo very specifically on use of unclassified mobile applications in Department of Defense, in DoD uses. And yeah, I just want to make note that in the linked memorandum for senior Pentagon leadership that Tom mentioned, it's hard because it does make use of, say, what are managed apps, which is, if you've worked at a big enterprise, a lot of times the enterprise will have an entire system for managing, certain, especially like high, like critical and also high security apps. There's an entire system that manages this device, installation of the software, updates and things like that. The memo does also mention unmanaged apps, which are apps that are not controlled by this kind of central system. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're not allowed. And often they are for, personal use, but there is very specifically, just to be clear, and again, just to be extra clear, this is very specifically for the DoD. It really does, it specifically mentions as part of, the unmanaged applications that you cannot communicate non-public DoD information. It very specifically mentions chat and messaging apps and Signal by name. So just to be super, super clear about what the wording of things are in this DoD document.
Thanks to Victoria Song and Brian for contributing to today's show. And thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. The show is made possible by our patrons at patreon.com/DTNS. DTNS has a live version called DTNS Live on YouTube and Twitch. Find details on that and more at dailytechnewsshow.com. Talk to you tomorrow.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Chicken Nugget is another one I've been watching that I really like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remembered it.
That one is really weird.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.